And if you'll close that door for me, right now, we're all set. So we're going to talk about naming a Java class. There are rules to naming classes. We have written a number of classes already, and we've always had that first line, public class, and then the name of the class. There are rules to naming those classes. More conventions, but also some rules. And the first one is that the name of the class is declared on the first line of the class, and we've done that. It's always been public class something else, right? Whatever its name might be. Now, we know that we can always put comments before that. Comments are ignored. But the first bounding line of our class must be a declaration of the name of the class. That's on the first line. And it's always public class and then the name of the class, in this case, Fagawi. That's a famous sailing race between Nantucket and I think Cape Cod. Right? Some classes are private. We just, in public class Fagawi, saw the declaration of a class that's public, which means it is accessible to the outside world. It's accessible from other classes or by other classes. That's a public class. You can also have a private class. And a private class is not accessible to the outside world. It's only accessible to other classes within its library. And a library is a number of classes that are associated, that are, let's call it a family. They're all together. They're a library, all of these classes. And that's a private class. We won't deal that much with private classes, if at all, this semester. But I want you to be aware of what private classes are. When we deal with Java, we know that not only in the declaration of a class name, but always Java is case sensitive. Name with a lowercase n, AME, is not the same as name, uppercase n, lowercase AME. It's not the same. It's case sensitive. Foobar, all caps, is not the same as foobar, all lowercase. Okay? Now, when we're talking about naming a class, we, by convention, capitalize the first letter of the name of the class. Yep? I don't know. Many languages are. Why it specifically was, that was a design decision by the people, Gosling, who designed it, who developed it. But it is case sensitive. And typically what we do is, as a convention, if we're using names that are more than one word, we capitalize the interior words. We capitalize the first letter of the first word, and then capitalize the first letter of every subsequent word. So if we have a class that's named my class name, we capitalize the M, the C, and the N. It's called camelback notation. Makes it easier to read. You will have class names sometimes that are very, very long. This makes it easier for us to read it. If we have a class named with foobar, we would capitalize the F and the B. Class names may include these four things: letters, digits, underscores, and dollar signs. Now the letters can be capital or lowercase, digits, single numbers, or you can put a series of numbers in sequence, underscores, but not dashes, and dollar signs, no spaces. What's prohibited is starting your class name with a number, with a digit, including spaces in your name, or using a reserved word. Those are also known as keywords. There are words in this language that have special meaning, and you cannot use those words as the name of a class or the name of a variable or a constant. We'll talk about that later, a little bit later. So class names may not start with a digit, a number, include spaces, be a reserved word, also known as a keyword. Now those reserved words, there are a number of them, and they are abstract, assert, Boolean, break, byte, case, catch, care, class, const, continue, default. We go on with do, double, else, enum, extends, false, final, finally, float, for, go to, if. Implements, import, instance of, int, interface, long, native, new, null, package, private, protected. Public, return, short, static, strict, FP. Super, switch, synchronize, this, throw, throws, transient. True, try, void, volatile, and while. We'll have a quiz on those tomorrow. No. These are all names that will have meaning to you. Some of them, a couple of them, by the end of the day. Question?
Are the words still reserved and not usable if you begin them with a capital?
Yes, I would not do that. I would not do that. I have never tried it. It might be a sneaky little workaround. I would not do that. I would not do that just in case. We can test that. That's a great question. That's a great question. I would say that you would get away with it, but it's not good practice. I would say. But if you wanted to do it, we can try that. All right, class names should be descriptive, logical, and easy to remember. You're going to go back and look at your code later on, and if you've named something A, you'll say, what's class A do? What is class? I don't know what it is. So, right, we will not, we will try as much as possible to give descriptive names, and sometimes that ends up being a long name. That's fine. You want them to be logical, and you do want them to be easy to remember. All right, when we save our classes, our files, we save them in a file that has the same name as the name of the class. You must do that. A class must be saved in a file that has the same name as the declared name of the class. So if I say public class Fagawi, I must save that in a file, fagawi.java. You will get a compile error if you do not do that, and capitalization counts. All right, we know about class names. It's the first line. It's case sensitive. We, by convention, capitalize the first letter of the class name, and any interior words, the first letter of any interior words, we use that camelback notation. We have accepted and prohibitive naming conventions, right, or practices. We have a number of reserved words, and we know that we must save any file by the name we declare it as. All right. Any questions on this one? We good? Yep, question.
You have a private class inside a public class?
Yes. You can have classes inside classes. We won't get to that the first semester. We might, maybe we'll try it, but that'll be toward the end. Other questions?
You change a class name from, let's say, foobar to, and put a number at the end of that?
Yes, that would be a different class.
Foobar.
Foobar 1, Foobar 2, those would be different names. It says public class Foobar 1, public class Foobar 2. I would save them in separate files, and it's two different classes.
Can it be out of sequence?
Oh, you can name it whatever you want. You can name a class whatever you want. You know, I know people who will name a class A, name a class B. It's not good practice, but you can do that. You know, you can name it as long as you follow the conventions of what's accepted and not accepted. Yep.
Because I think I did the foobar, and
Yeah.
then I wanted that separate because I was fooling around with something, and then I did foobar 2 something.
Well, if you change the name on that first line to foobar 2, you have to save that in a file named foobar2.java. And that's usually where people make their error. They don't then save it. You would have ended up with a class that was on its first line declared as public class foobar2, saved in a file that was foobar.java. When you go to compile foobar.java, it looks for that file and it won't find it, because that file that you declared that you actually saved was foobar2. That's what it, you know, the compiler goes and looks for a file that has as its first line foobar2, and it's not going to find it.
Would you have to go through that save as business?
Yeah.
You would?
Yep. So resave it. We can let her in. Are we all set with this one? This is just naming a class. Pretty straightforward, most of it. Okay.